Good afternoon. Welcome to the Living Truths channel. Today is July 30th, 2025, and this is recording 868, entitled The Sign of Jonah. 1. Called. The sign of Jonah. Step 1. Called. As I just mentioned a few moments ago, consciousness is what rules everything, and that may be a hard thing to accept, but think about it. Whether you knew it before it occurred or when it occurred, it had to pass through your attention, your awareness. And there is where it entered your conscience. And as this type of teaching is what they call esoteric or spiritual in nature, it differs from most of the teachings that we were brought up with and the ones that are still being practiced, because most teachings speak of a physical world that we must overcome. This teaching is not that. It's the conscious awareness of our understanding of what is real and what is not. That must be overcome. And today I called this one Called, C-A-L-L-E-D. And it's based on the book of Jonah. And next Wednesday we will have the second part, and then the following Wednesday the third. But today, I want to zone in on what I believe may help someone as we are journeying to what we call heaven. Once again, heaven. What is heaven? Well, however it sits in your consciousness, that's what you have decided it to be. Now, it doesn't matter where you got your information from. What matters is where you rest in information gained. Now, Jesus said that the kingdom of heaven would come and the fruitage of it would appear. So that's one thing that we look forward to, is the fruitage. Is what we believe, is it expressing fruitage that we may gain confidence and continue to move forward? So just walk with me for a little bit. The kingdom of heaven, the bliss of God, the end of the search, every man's goal, every man's satisfaction. Jesus stated that it has come to the earth and is everywhere around us, awaiting our recognition. If you recall, when he was being cross-examined by the spiritual rulers of the day, he asked them, for what offense were they persecuting him? For what good work? And they said, none. That the works that he was doing were great works. It was who he was designating himself to be is what they had a problem with. And he turned and said, so then if you affirm that the works that I do are actually happening, see what I'm saying? His understanding of the kingdom was actually producing fruitage that could be seen, felt, smelled, tasted, and touched. What is it? Sight, smelling, tasting, hearing, the five senses. And they were saying, Oh, we see these things. We just have a problem with who you're calling yourself. So Jesus is saying the kingdom of heaven, if you attest that these things are happening, he's saying the kingdom is here. Now, you know that most practice that we are going to have to wait it out for so many years, and we will make a travel to this beautiful kingdom. Jesus said the kingdom is at hand and the kingdom is upon you. It is everywhere around you. Now, if it is everywhere around me, look now at how my conscience now comes into the picture. It starts looking for it. It starts becoming attentive, aware. It becomes cognitive of the fact that there's more here than meets the five senses. It's all around, awaiting my recognition. And how is it that I recognize things? Through conscious awareness. For when I find it, it is said, it is the end of suffering, the end of the journey. Man is now complete and with his God. Well, where would that be? That's right, it would be heaven, wouldn't it? And it would be consciously realized. Consciously realized. Who then would want to fight against things that are unnecessary? You know, when the little child tells you it's too dark in there, you don't fight with it. When they tell you that the ghosts and goblins and whatnot are under the bed or behind the door, you don't fight with it. Why? Because you have a conscious awareness of the truth. At one point, Jesus was asked, well, what is the sign that is going to confirm? Well, I just shared a few of them with you. But they said, what are the signs that are going to confirm that you have the right to make these statements? Or what can we find that's going to prove to us that we should follow what you're saying? And Jesus turned and said, an evil and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign. See? Immediately, we began to focus on the evil things that men do to each other, and it's the adulterous generation. That's really the worst of it, because we immediately began to see men and women having relationships out of wedlock, and that's not what he's meaning. He's saying an evil and an adulterous generation seeketh after a sign. Those that are not following the true way. Those that are neglecting the way of God. Those that are answering to themselves. Those that are doing things that they think will bring comfort, security, whatever in their lives. He's saying that is the generation that is saying, I'm going to keep doing these things until you show me something that works. Then I will decide. But faith cometh by what? Hearing. Not by seeing. Jesus said it's most unfortunate that you require a sign. Blessed is he who believes and has not seen. He continued. He said, there shall be no sign given to you but the sign of the prophet Jonas. For as Jonas was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. Now this is recorded in Matthew 12, verses 39 and 40. He says, so just as Jonah was in the belly of the whale, The sign that will be given to you will be the Son of Man being 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. See, we should now say, what is the connection? 3 days and 3 nights. That's significant. Significant. Another place, it says that God had planted a vineyard and he had waited 3 years to bring fruit, to gain fruitage, and it was bringing none, so he was going to tear it down. And his servant came and said, let me dig around it, that it might bear fruit. What did Jesus do? Didn't he come into the vineyard and dig around in it, what, throwing new seed to every person who would listen? See? 3 days. We will cross over into the promised land. Prepare yourself. Cleanse yourself. 3 days, 3 nights. Jesus says the Son of Man shall spend 3 days and 3 nights, and we immediately take our attention to a physical world, and what? Jesus is the Son of Man that's going to spend 3 days and 3 nights. And yet there was a son of man who had done it prior to, named Jonah. Think about it. So the Son of Man is not just one individual person. The Son of Man is whosoever can feel the call. That man is going to spend 3 days and 3 nights in a condition, in a situation that he may be made complete. Jesus was signifying a journey that every man can accomplish. It is a journey in consciousness. So hard is it to just grasp that and hug it tight and believe, yeah, this is it. Because we're looking at what the world shows us as the world of the 5 physical senses. Just like a young man sent me a thing today and said, please pray for my dog. And immediately I had to catch what he was saying and say, in the spirit realm, get this, there's only the life of God. So God is the life of everything. So therefore, there is only one life. There's only life. And I will settle on the one life being everywhere in need of nothing. This past Sunday, I was given an example of, well, what if a person needed X, Y, and Z, and they had X and Y, but they didn't have Z? What would you do? Well, I cannot consider there being an X and a Y and a Z that are not complete. Why? Because in the spiritual universe, there is no incompleteness. So therefore, I cannot say, well, we'll pray for Z. Because now we are acknowledging the fact that something is missing to make X and Y complete. Yes, I realize the mountain. But it is the mountain of consciousness. What? God is complete at all times. We're not looking for a power that we can grasp and do something with. If you were with me this past Sunday, remember we crossed over and said, we are gaining the power to become witnesses. Witnesses. What? Witnesses of this consciousness, this infinite divine consciousness flowing through everything. It is the ability to express the divinity within us. Not that we bring it about, and I think that's what causes us to fear and be apprehensive and to limit ourselves. But acknowledge the fact that this one life is flowing. Acknowledge that. And as it flows into our consciousness. And Jesus says, whatsoever you choose to believe, if you can believe it, all things are possible. In the book of John, verse 12-24, Jesus says, verily, verily, I say unto you, except the corn of wheat fall in the ground and die, it abideth alone. But if it die, it bringeth forth much fruit. There's that 3 days and that 3 nights. But here it's being described as a corn of wheat falling to the earth and dying. And most people, that's the one thing we don't want to happen, right? We don't want to die. Even though we know it is destined for us in bodily form to leave, we still are tore up and hurt when it happens. But Jesus said, if we would accept the fact that we can, as a kernel of corn, fall to the earth and die, wow, we would be blessed with the gift of eternal life. This is not an actual death, but it is a death to life as it has been interpreted, and a rising to life of abundant joy. That's what he's telling us. The way we're living our lives right now, if we continue to live according to the 5 senses, good and evil, he says that's the life that keeps us separated from one another. Keeps us separated. And even though we want to love and we want to help, there's always that anvil that we're dragging that's saying, take care of yourself. Make sure you take care of yourself. And Jesus said, let that life go. How do I do that? Yep, you got it. Through conscious awareness. Keep in mind that in the book of Jonah, when all of the trouble is going on out there, and every man is praying to what he believes God to be, remember Jonah has run off from the Lord, and Jonah is in the belly of the ship, on the bottom of the ship, fast asleep, hiding from God. And they come and they ask him, man, why aren't you calling on your God? Why aren't you calling on your God? You see, we're calling on ours and nothing's happening. Why aren't you? And Jonah says, because basically I know I'm the reason. Not the reason that trouble is in the world. I am the resolve for the troubles in the world. How could he say such a thing? What does he say? Take me and throw me into the sea. What is the sea? The sea is tempestuous. That's the world we're living in. Trouble everywhere. And no one has a God to overcome it. But Jonah knows he has a God. Jonah knows that he is the answer, but he's just at day 1. I need you to see that. I know that if you throw me into the sea, what did he say? It will be calm. The problems that are occurring at this moment will cease. And they try their best to use logic, not to throw him overboard, but when all else fails, what do? Okay, so what spiritually Jonah is saying, it's time for me to enter into this real life thing. This real life. What? Following after God, because he could abide alone, maybe, in a spiritual understanding. But that is not why the glory of the Lord comes upon a person. It comes to free all. So why is it coming to Jonah and not to these people? That's another thing we should be looking at. Because Jonah, at some point, I guarantee you, has been contemplating the problems that are going on in the world. And he is trying to understand how to fix them. Or is this what man's supposed to go through? How does man overcome this? And lo and behold, what does he do? He contemplates long enough for the realm of the spirit to open up. You've done it. You've opened it before. But maybe not enough to realize that you needed to open it and die there. But Jonah realizes, if you throw me into the world of men's problems, there will be peace. And we know that's exactly what happened. They threw him overboard. The sea came to rest and calm, and the men aboard did what? Great is the God of Jonah. The effect, the proving of the principle. The first step is the calling. The first step is the calling. Jonah has contemplated in such a way, we don't know exactly how, but he has contemplated in such a way that the spirit realm opened up and the voice, the spirit, the presence of God comes upon him, and it comes with an assignment. Jonah, no matter how small this relationship is, Jonah has established a relationship with God, and he knows that God can be trusted to do what he says, and God is also telling him, I can trust you to do what I need you to do. You see, the kingdom of God comes in two ways that I know of. There may be more, but this is what I'm aware of. God can just open up a person's awareness and he just knows all. He just knows all that's possible. He is raised up to the knowledge of God, and he just can do whatsoever because God has imparted that to him. That's really rare, but it's possible. But the other way is by contemplating truth with an open heart as it applies to the things being experienced in life. What is truth? Is there a God? Can things be changed? We look out at the sufferings of this world and we begin to say, is there a God? We have no idea that we are walking that path to the doorway where the gates will open up and God is recognizing within us, that we've come. And he who comes shall not be turned away. When that realm of the spirit opens up, connection is made with the infinite invisible. I have seen many times where this doorway opens up and people see what's there, but before they act on it or can act on it or lock it down, the way of the world comes back and they close it off. I'm experienced enough now to know, yep, they saw God, but having not enough confidence to keep that way or strength or asking themselves questions or putting roadblocks in front of themselves, they turn and go back. But I know the door opened. I know the seed got planted. And at some point in time, guess what? They're going to hit on Hosea chapter 2, which says, after 2 days, he will revive us. In the third day, he will raise us up. There it is again. 3 days, 3 nights. What happens after 2 days? And this is not a literal 1, 2, 3, 24-hour period. After 2 days, sometimes a person falls so far that what happens? They're just about to lose everything, and that second day, hope comes in. Said, don't give up. They haven't reached the third day because the third day requires a total death to this world. But the second day, they're revived. There is hope, and they may begin to seek out ways of getting there. That second day, or that first day, one is called, but they do not have full understanding. His way now becomes tempestuous because he's caught between two worlds. He knows that there is an infinite, invisible spiritual world out there that can relieve the whole world of all of its problems. And he's also thrown into a world to where he has to face people and somehow let them know that it can be okay. And some of the things that he may say may not be able to be understood by those people. So now his world is tempestuous. Why? Because he has not reached the third day. He knows there's a God. He knows there's a resolution. And something comes in and makes him think that he can go forth and bring about. No, if you were with me this past Sunday, what did we come across? The ability to become witnesses. We are a holy temple, and the presence of God flows through us to make us witnesses. If we are a witness, remember we recall that a witness does nothing but tells what they have seen, smelled, tasted, touched, or heard, and it flows through them. This man may even take undue pressure to think that he can pray and get something done, when in reality, what does he do? He goes into his consciousness and he recalls the gloriousness of that which he has contemplated, which unleashes it into the world to which he is called. He is now the instrument of the understanding of God that will walk and talk and be sacrificed for mankind. You see it, there it is. Except a corn of wheat fall to the earth and die, it abideth alone. Remember the statement made to Paul? Now go, Paul, I'm going to send you as a witness. Be not afraid of the glare in their eye. Be not afraid of the assaults that come against you. For I am with you, and you shall be a witness unto me, unto Caesar. See? Witness. This person that has been called, he's not fully established in truth, but he is enabled to see the end. So therefore, he accepts the calling to be used, as I said, as an instrument of correction for the world's woes. Yep, the sea is tempestuous. It doesn't change. Look at all that you have learned up to this point, and people are still doing a lot of the unseemly things that they were doing prior to you accepting the calling. It may even appear to get worse. But what is for us to understand in the step one is the calling. The calling is greater. So he allows his life to end, that it may benefit all of mankind. What did Jesus say? No greater love hath a man than he lay down his life for his brother and sister. Sometimes I wonder if we actually realize just what he did. And then when that realization comes to us, just what Jesus sacrificed, gave up any and everything. Don't you know that he could have been the richest man on the planet? He could have been the most powerful man on the planet. He could have been the most, richly clothed person. He could have owned. Just think about it. He knew God. He could have lived in one little house, wherever, or could have just come and just taken somebody else's house should he choose to. But he gave up his life that we would have this abundance of life. What is it? To know God aright. And to conclude chapter 1, or the first step of the calling, unknown to this man that receives the calling is a great fish. That's right. It is a great fish, or in spiritual terms, salvation. A great salvation has been prepared to engulf his life. Can you see it? Jonah is thrown into the sea of temptation, the tempestuousness. That situation calms down. And what happens? Salvation comes and scoops him up. Why? Because from the foundation of the world, this salvation was prepared for everyone who accepts the call. Even though they may not understand the fulfillment of the call, or fulfillment of the end of it, God has provided it, that whosoever accepts the call, a great fish, a great salvation has been provided. Paul, go forth. Jesus, no man taketh my life. Look at him. The Lord is with thee. No weapon formed against, nothing external. That is the great fish that has been prepared. Why? Because the project is not ours. The project is the Lord. And from the midst of this salvation, everything is provided. Where is Jonah spending his time? In the belly of salvation. Let's stop looking at this grand miracle and realize that the spiritual aspects is a salvation that we can spend in the belly of it. And what happens in the belly after food is eaten? Digestion. We will digest that salvation. Wow. At the coming of the presence of God, all falseness and limitation of life is destroyed. I hope that you, through these few minutes, can see that even if we don't understand exactly how to do everything, every step, our salvation has been provided, and if we accept the call, then we will be put in a place where we may digest. And what is the digestion? The presence of the Lord is with us. The presence of the Lord will provide for us. It will equip us with everything necessary, that it would flow through us unlimited, unceasingly, and unhalted by the falseness of this world. With the acceptance of the call, this man confidently approaches the third day and night.